Yeah.
You want to like him, but you can't.
Are you listening?
What?
Are you listening?
Did you bring me on this show to insult me?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all don't want it with us, man. We straight gangsters over here.
Straight
man.
gangsters. Yeah, welcome back. It is a beautiful Wednesday morning, and you are listening to Scout Team Sports. We bring it to you hot and live like we do each and every weekday. I am one of your gracious hosts. They call me Loudbeard.
You are the most egotistical, self-deluded person I have ever met.
Yep, and all of that is true. And the man on the other microphone, he is a great patriot. He is none other than...
Yeah, it's your boy Chris America coming to you live this Steph Curry Day. It is January 30th, 2019. It is a Wednesday. It is Loudbeard, the old school Hump Day.
Hump Day.
Is it? Can we call that commercial old school now? I mean, how old is that commercial?
Probably, 3 years old, maybe 4 years old?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Geico's doing those classic commercials, and that's one of them in their classic commercials.
Yeah, no, it's a great classic commercial. I think everybody has been in that situation where you're at the office or you're at work or you're around other people and it's Wednesday and somebody pulls out the old Hump Day and you think, wow, all of that is because of a Geico commercial. Nobody even really wanted to buy insurance because of it. They just wanted to shout out Hump Day all over the office or all over your workplace, everywhere you were. That was the hottest thing going for a while. And I do have to give props to Geico, man. They always have some of the best, funniest, catchiest commercials out there.
Yeah, and they've been, like I said, they've been playing their classic commercials, their old commercials, and they had the collect call where it's like, we had a baby eats a boy. And I'm sitting there looking at my kids who are 9 and 10, and I'm like, they have no clue what is going on here. They don't know the concept of a payphone. They don't know what a collect call is, and they don't understand why he had to say, we had a baby, it's a boy, so fast, and so he can get that call in for free and let his parents know that he had a baby and it's a boy.
Yeah, the phone world has completely changed, and it has changed so rapidly that's truly a classic commercial. The Hump Day one, I'd have to give it classic also. I mean, I think it's a great idea that they're bringing some of these commercials back. People love these commercials.
I'm waiting for the caveman to come back. The cavemen were my favorite, although they jumped the shark when they tried to make a TV show off of it.
Oh, yeah, the TV show. I didn't watch it myself, but I had zero desire, as did most of America, to watch that show. Hence why it did not last very long. But, yeah, the caveman, you had the gecko, which I think he's still around. What other good Geico commercials were there? I can't even think of any other ones, but I know there were tons.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we just mentioned a few of them, and we'll get reminded of them more. Oh, the pig. Did the pig really cry wee all the way home? And,
oh, yeah.
Yeah, that one was funny.
Yep, that was funny. That's a good GIF or GIF, whatever you like, but the
pig
one with the
pinwheels.
pig. Yep, that one's classic. That's definitely a classic. Well, Chris America, on this beautiful, wacky Wednesday, Hump Day, we're getting into Geico commercials, and later today on our show, we're going to do our Who's Your Daddy segment. That's a fan favorite, so hopefully the listeners will like it. We're going classic like the Geico commercials. Also, other ton of stuff going on. More news coming out about that Anthony Davis trade. We'll get into that. Some college basketball hoops last night. We saw number 1 Tennessee in action, number 3 Virginia in action. We'll talk a little bit about that. But I want to start out the show talking a little UFC. I felt like yesterday was a big news cycle for UFC, and a lot of different areas here we can go. But I'm going to start out talking about the rulings of Khabib and McGregor coming out. So, Chris America, I'm sure you saw this. I know that you're a big-time UFC fan. You and I both, we like MMA, and I don't know how I feel about Khabib getting a 9-month ban and a $500,000 fine, and Conor McGregor getting a 6-month ban and only a $50,000 fine. How did you feel when you first saw this news break?
Well, considering I still believe that the whole entire melee was a WWE style made up thing, I felt pretty bad about it. I felt it was a little unfair, although this could just be part of the ruse. It just could all be a part of the show. And so what is this? This is retroactive, right?
Yeah, it's retroactive. So they're already served some time here.
All right, so what are we looking at here? Let me look at when that fight was, because it feels like it was already 6 months ago.
Yeah, it does kind of feel that way. Now, I know Khabib, he has come out and said he doesn't want to fight in Nevada anymore. He's like done with Nevada. I think he's a little pissed about these rulings that came out. But he does look at fighting in November in Madison Square Garden. So I don't know if November is exactly that 9-month mark, but that's what he is shooting for his next fight.
That'll actually be 13 months, which is ridiculous. So their last fight was October 6th. Yep, it's all coming back to me now, Loudbeard. October 6th, 2018. So they're at what, 3-4 months now? Going on 5?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're going on 4 months. Sorry.
Right. So they've served some of that time. So 6 months and 9 months isn't terribly unreasonable. To me, though, the fines, the discrepancy there, $500,000 for Khabib. That is a significant chunk of change, and that dude doesn't have as much money as Conor McGregor has.
No, nowhere near as much. I guess they're kind of, I don't know, giving it to the most to Khabib because he was the aggressor on that side of the melee part, because he's the one that threw his mouthpiece at the guy. He's the one that hopped over the fence. But, again, we've seen McGregor hop over fences. We've seen McGregor throw a freaking, dolly cart through a bus and injure a whole bunch of other fighters. It's just, I don't know, man. It doesn't sit well with me. And good for Khabib for not wanting to fight in Nevada again, just giving them a big middle finger. Now, that is the punishment. Was that dealt out by UFC? Is this UFC's punishment, or is this just Nevada's punishment?
This is Nevada, the Gaming Commission. So they are the ones
Nevada,
that came out
right?
with that ruling. Yeah, I believe so. I'll double check, but
so that's what's confusing about this whole thing, because. Okay, so you don't want me fighting in Nevada for 9 months. That's cool. I'll just go over to California and do it there. Kind of the way that they did with the John Jones fight, where Nevada said, we don't like that there's still some more traces of steroids in his system, so we're not going to allow him to fight. And then Dana White's like, okay, we'll just go to California.
Yeah, it does get a little weird. Sometimes the lines get blurred. Sometimes it's fighting stuff. I mean, there's a lot of weird, different rules that go along with it. There was some news that came out with John Jones, but I'll get into that next. I want to talk about this a little bit more with McGregor and Khabib. I mean, $500,000 fine, to me, that doesn't sit right. It's
over the top.
It's extreme. Now, I can understand from the perspective of, all right, we need to make it a point that this can never happen again. We want guys to understand that if they cause a brawl that is out in the stands with the fans, that is unacceptable, and we're not going to stand for it, and we're going to hit you where it hurts, and that's in your wallet. And this is what the example that's being set right here. They're saying, what you witnessed on live TV of Khabib after a fight, jumping over the fence, causing a brawl in the stands, is not going to be tolerated, and $500,000 worth of not tolerated. I think his purse for this fight was $2 million.
Yeah, so that's 25%.
A quarter of the entire purse that he won for that, and this is one of his biggest paydays, if I'm not mistaken.
By far.
His biggest payday. So a quarter of his biggest payday is going to this fine, and that's not even including what goes to Uncle Sam and all the other stuff that goes into it.
Yeah.
So he's really not making a ton of money off of this fight. But he went and did what he did, and he has to pay his dues. I just think that the fine itself was just so extreme.
Yeah, that's this whole thing. It's all one-sided. If McGregor did the same thing, it wouldn't be this bad. I just can't believe that it wouldn't. I mean, again, we watched McGregor throw a dolly cart into a bus. Now, a lot of people say, well, that wasn't during a fight, and the commission has nothing to do with that. Bull, man. It was in the middle of weigh-ins. Aren't the weigh-ins part of the commission too? Like, I don't know, man. It doesn't sit well with me. I'm glad that, that Khabib will not fight in Nevada again. Say, screw you, man. I'll take my act and go somewhere else. And Loudbeard, I've been thinking about this while you were talking. I think we have a solution to where he can fight next.
Okay, where's that?
You got enough space in your backyard. Let's set up an octagon there. He can come to good old Scout Team Florida, and we'll put on his next fight there.
That's a good idea. Hey, you got to do what you got to do, man.
You
I
gotta
like
do
it.
what you gotta do.
Just to clarify, it is the Nevada Athletic Commission
Yeah.
that is issuing these suspensions and fines. It is retroactive back to October 6th, and Khabib can reduce his 9-month suspension down to 6 months if he participates in an anti-bullying PSA.
Okay, well, I like that.
Yeah, I mean, they're trying to make good out of it, I guess. Okay, so if that were to happen, he'd be eligible to return to the UFC as early as April if he chooses that option. So the suspensions themselves, those aren't that big of a deal, because if he does this PSA, which I don't know if he will or not, he seems like the type of dude that's not really into doing a PSA and kind of doing that for the man. I have a feeling he's just going to say, whatever, I'll fight my first fight back in November, and we'll be done with it. That's how I feel this guy will go. But it would be nice if he did a PSA, help the kids understand that bullying is not acceptable, even though their premise of their whole fight, McGregor and Khabib were both bullying each other or trying to. Really, McGregor started it, and I know I'm going to pull at your feelings and emotions with this. So I'll just say it was McGregor that started it. I'm not jumping on the McGregor train. I want to make sure that that's said. But Khabib tried to come back at him, and that's not the right thing to do with bullying. So a PSA would be good there. As soon as the rulings came out, Khabib put on his Twitter page, "Politics forever," and just left that kind of blank tweet so everybody understood. He just knows that this is just political. People are just wanting to make a point and using him as an example, and that's all he said, and he left it there. But I get him, man. That's kind of tough.
Yeah, Loudbeard, now I'm picturing Khabib in his gloves and his fighting shorts, no shirt, at an elementary school cafeteria giving a little seminar about bullying.
And his big hat.
Yeah, his big hat. I can see that. Now I'm liking this. This
Yeah.
part I'm liking. I'm liking, Khabib being at Altamont Elementary, talking to the kids in his little Russian accent about bullying.
It's a good one. It's a good one. Now, his teammates, the ones that were involved in the altercation, they both get 1-year suspensions and $25,000 fines. And they were just a little bit of a side note in the story. Honestly, I thought they were just as bad, the one jumping over the fence and going after McGregor and stuff. But
You mean the one that the cop let go by?
yeah, that one. Yeah, that's
That
the
one, okay. Yeah.
That's the one. But they only get $25,000 fines. Now, they didn't just make a $2 million purse. So $25,000 is probably a pretty big deal to them. Though I'm hoping Khabib just hooks him up and says, "Don't worry about it. I got this. I'm cool, man."
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, that's a lot of money that's going to be another $100,000 to $200,000 that he's going to have to pay when he does that.
Yeah, it's all over.
I mean, that adds up. Those $25,000 fines, they add up quick.
Yep, they do. They do. All right, so I'm going to move on to John Jones, another fan favorite / Chris America favorite topic to talk about. So Jones has been granted his license in Nevada to fight another fight. This is good news because, like you mentioned earlier in the show, his last fight, last minute, they had to move it from Nevada to California. It was kind of a weird thing. Last minute, Nevada wouldn't grant him a license. Now, they decide that they're going to grant him a license so he can fight Anthony Smith in UFC 235, which is his next scheduled fight. I believe it's on March 2nd that's scheduled for. Now, he's got the license, but he must take 2 drug tests a month for the remainder of the year as part of his eligibility to get this license in Nevada. Do you think this is a slippery slope as far as John Jones knowing that he's got to get tested twice a month, I feel like eventually there's going to be a fail in one of these drug tests. Chris America, how do you feel about this?
No, I mean, I feel good about him being tested twice. Look, man, you've got a history, so we got to stay on top of you. And if you don't take steroids, you won't have any problems taking these tests. So I have no problem with that. I do like what he said. I got his quote here. He says, "Thank you so much to USADA, the Nevada State Athletic Commission, my team, the UFC, mainly the fans and Chris America, and everyone sticking by me throughout this process, allowing me to say my piece, allowing me to go through this process, and eventually proving my innocence." Oh, so I like that. Yeah, end quote. That was verbatim, by the way.
Yeah, that was dead on. Now, do you think he's finally starting to mature a little bit? Maybe he's turned the corner, because he had a lot of immaturity for a lot of years there that really hampered his career. If he's starting to become a little bit more mature as he gets a little bit older, the sky's the limit for this dude, right?
Oh, man, if he can get his act together, and if he had his act together this whole time, he will be one of, if not the greatest fighter of all time. Like, he should be on like a ridiculous 25 to 30 fight win streak. He should have the record that Khabib has right now, and he would be the greatest, most decorated fighter of all time. And hopefully he does get his act together, because he's ready and primed to run through the light heavyweight again. And if he decides to take on heavyweights, he's primed to do that. If he decides to take on 185, now I doubt he can get down to the next weight class, which is, I believe, 185. I don't even think he can do that, but maybe he can fight a couple of catchweight fights with those guys. I mean, the sky's the limit, like you said.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, he kind of reminds me, and I mean, this could be a little bit of a stretch, but he kind of reminds me a little bit of Barry Bonds, a guy that is so good and probably didn't need all the doping and drug problems that he's had. And if he didn't have those, you would think of him as the greatest of all time. Barry Bonds, I feel, is the same way. Barry Bonds could have been the greatest of all time without being involved with PEDs, but because he had that PED stint, and because we all know that's what he was doing, it's kind of marred his career a little bit. And you always look at it and you say, well, he's got great numbers, but what about that asterisk? Do you think John Jones is comparable to a Barry Bonds when you look at him in his overall body of work?
Oh, without a doubt. My brother-in-law says he will never call John Jones the greatest fighter. I even asked him before, like, if he goes the next 10 years, all clean tests, doing the 2 tests a month, like you said, and he does clean and he just continues to do what he did prior to the tests that were positive, would you consider him the best? He goes, nope. Once a cheater, always a cheater. Some people just can't look past it, can't go beyond your mistakes. And you know what? Sometimes I guess that's fair. I mean, my brother-in-law has the right to feel that way, and everybody else who feels that way has that right too. Now, I'm on a different perspective. I believe that we all make mistakes. Some of them are more egregious than others, but he didn't kill anybody and he didn't hurt anybody, at least not until he ran into that pregnant woman with his car by mistake. But that's a whole nother story and didn't have anything to do with steroids.
You got to bring it up, though.
I mean, it's part of his story, man. I don't want to sit there and say he never hurt anybody, and then I get people blowing me up on Twitter. What about that pregnant woman he crashed into?
Yeah, you hate, Chris America hates pregnant women. It's all over Twitter. It's trending.
It's trending now. Oh, man. And now I lost my train of thought. Yeah, so I personally think if he goes, like I said, 10 years of just dominating the sport and going with those 2 tests a month, proving, honestly, I like that he's going to take 2 tests a month, so that way there's no shadow of a doubt in other fans' minds that he's clean.
Yeah, he needs that. He absolutely needs that. And he needs to go through, and it needs to be for an extended period of time where there's no negative news. No, oh, there's trace substance. Oh, there's a false positive. Oh, we don't need any of that. It needs to be 100% clean for this entire year. And I think fans will turn. I don't know if it'll turn to the point where his past will ever just go away. Like you said with your brother-in-law, it's always going to be there as a thought, right? When you mention John Jones, that other part of it, the other wrongdoing, is always going to be kind of sitting there in that thought process. But if he goes clean for a year, you might be able to start seeing those thoughts fade away and go away, because Your brother-in-law, he's like a baseball sports writer, right? He's not going to let any of these guys in the Hall of Fame. He's
No.
not going to mention John Jones as being the best fighter ever. And he's not the only one that feels that way. There's a big part of the world that feels like once you're cheating, you're always cheating. So I see where he's coming from with that.
And Ladrid, isn't it weird that for each sport we kind of have our own feelings about PEDs and steroids? Like to us, like when a fighter or a baseball player, and even with cycling, like what's his name?
Lance Armstrong.
Lance Armstrong. There we go.
Greatest cheater of all times.
We get really mad and we get really upset that they took PEDs and steroids and everything else. But when you hear a football player or an NBA player get busted for it, we're kind of like, okay, let me know when the suspension's over. We don't, like, when was the last time you were mad that, or heard anybody get mad that they got busted an NFL player for PEDs?
No, nobody really gets mad about it. They get their 4-game suspension, and then the fans are usually like, we're just waiting for this guy to come back. He's going to be better than ever. We need that extra help. Like,
Yeah.
They're not mad at him. Nobody cares.
Nobody cares. Nobody's like, who was it? The Houston Texans defensive player that was really popular. He got busted for PEDs like 4 or 5 years ago, and then
Brian Cushing.
Yeah, Brian Cushing. That's who it was, and he tested positive twice, and nobody's sitting here being like, oh, get Brian Cushing out of the NFL. He's a cheater.
No. I mean, it was getting to the point where it was like, okay, that's a little bit too much here. Okay, Brian Cushing, for the 4th time, we're gonna have to give you a 12-month suspension instead of 4 games. Like, he went through the whole cycle, but it was over the top. But nobody really cared.
No. Remember when was it Rashard Lewis that got busted for PEDs way back in the day on the Magic?
Oh yeah, he was so skinny. He needed some.
Yeah, he needed some. Yeah, and Will Greer, he got busted for PEDs at Florida, served his 1-year suspension. Nobody's bringing that up at the NFL Combine or anything else like that. I mean, they're bringing it up, but nobody's like, oh, Will Greer's a cheater. He doesn't deserve a shot at the NFL.
No, you're right. It is a little bit of a double standard. Maybe like in fighting, it's an individual sport, so maybe there it becomes a little bit more in that spotlight. But you're right, with baseball, I think the problem in baseball was it went so over the top that you almost have to knee-jerk react and come back completely to the other side where it's like there can't be any controversy.
Yeah.
And
I also think that records, especially the home run record, was built up as such like almost like a religion, like you were disrespecting a religion. You're being anti-religious or sacrilegious if you were to mess with the home run record of Babe Ruth with steroids, right? Isn't that kind of do you think that kind of goes into it as well?
Yeah, I'm with you on that because it was like, well, it was Roger Maris, right? Babe Ruth held it, and then Roger Maris passed
that's
him
right.
at
Sorry.
60.
I'm still stuck on what is it called? What is that movie?
Sandlot.
Sandlot, yeah, where that was when the record was still held by Babe Ruth.
Yes, yeah, and Babe Ruth deserves all the recognition in baseball that he deserves. But with Roger Maris's 60 home run record, that was one of those records that a lot of people looked at and said, "Oh, that'll never get passed." It's an unbeatable record, right? It's one of those that once somebody beats it, it's going to be such an amazing feat. That person's got to be the best player in the league and all this stuff. So we put the record itself on a pedestal, and once somebody broke it, and then you realize afterwards they broke it because they were cheating, and you had that McGwire, Sosa, Bonds, crazy home run where they're hitting 70 home runs,
right?
And they're like obliterating this record, but they gain 25 pounds of muscle in the off season, and then come back and gain 50 more pounds of muscle the next year, and these guys look like complete monsters out there on the baseball field,
like damn WWE wrestlers.
I know they did. It was like Brock Lesnar's out there batting for the Oakland Athletics. Oh wait, no, that's Mark McGwire.
No, that's Mark McGwire.
Same physique.
Oh,
it's unbelievable.
Here comes The Rock. Nope, that's Barry Bonds.
Yeah. So these guys come out there and you're like, wow, this is unusual. And I think at the time you just enjoyed the ride, right? Like nobody was sitting there saying, oh, these guys are cheaters. At the time during the 90s and
we loved
early
it,
2000s,
man.
oh, it was so much fun. It made baseball fun. It really added to everything, and that's what made it so bad. Is because it's like, wow, we had to cheat to make baseball fun. All these guys were just completely killing these records.
It tainted it. It ruined the funness too. It's like, oh man, you put me through this good time, and then I realized that it's all tainted. It's all for naught. So
yeah,
I guess I get that. Yeah, I think a lot of that has to do with it.
And baseball's more of a finesse where you're as an individual batting, whereas football's always a team sport. And to me, football's more of a gladiator sport where, yeah, they don't condone the drug use, and the NFL does address it, and they do suspend it. But when these guys are getting beat up and so many injuries, and sometimes you're just like, man, whatever. He took a little drugs. Give him his slap on his wrist, and we'll move on from it. He took some PEDs. All right, I get it. In baseball, you're kind of like, I don't know, it's maybe more of a traditional purist mentality, but it seems like it's a little bit more finesse, and the steroids tainted that more than what you see in football.
Yeah. Well, Loudbeard, I have an idea for a fantasy draft.
Go for it.
We can fantasy draft athletes who have tested positive for PEDs or blood doping.
Okay. The
There's
best
a good
of all
list.
time
There's a
that are
great
cheap.
list. There's a great list out there. I mean, we got John Jones.
And
We
you can do
mentioned
all
Lance
sports, right?
Armstrong. Yeah, all sports. Lance Armstrong, John Jones, Barry Bonds, Mark McGuire, Sammy Sosa. It's an endless list, man.
Now, would you consider deflating footballs as part of this, as taking a competitive advantage?
No. We're not going to go into all cheating. Like, we're not going to try to find wide receivers who use stickum on their gloves. Let's not go that far.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll hold it back and just do the positive testing.
Man.
Okay.
What was that? The 80s, right? Where they had the stickum. Imagine that being like the biggest scandal in football is stickum on your gloves.
Yeah, the pine tar, that was a big deal. Big deal back in the mid 80s. Look at how much pine tar is on that bat.
Yeah.
Look what he's got Vaseline all over the inside of his glove, and he's to get his curveball down as a pitcher.
That was the best part about Sammy Sosa, man, is he was dedicated to the cause, man. He not only took steroids, but he corked his damn bat too.
Hey, you got to go all in. I mean, if you're
go big or go home.
Right. When you're going into that like freezing cold pool, but you're like, I want to go in and just swim for a few minutes. Do you just tip your toe in and then go 1 foot at a time on the stairs, or do you just dive in the deep end? I always dive in the deep end. I'm like Sammy Sosa. You just dive in. You go all in with PEDs, corked bat, whatever it takes. You just jump in. You don't go step by step. You got to go all in, my friend. And I don't blame Sammy Sosa, though I should blame Sammy Sosa. These cheaters, man. Wow, we took a turn for the worse here. I didn't even realize we were going to go in this direction today, Chris America.
We gotta tweet in. You can tweet at us at Scout Team Radio on Twitter, or you can hit us up at Loudbeard or at Chris Scout Team. Those are our individual accounts. Memphis Spence coming in hot. He says, I think Loudbeard wins the doping list hands down before you even complete the list. At Chris Scout Team won't win this one. Oh man, he's calling his shots on you, bud. You're the favorite going in.
Yeah, it's the problem was is that we didn't even talk about this last week. We did the worst head coaches to win a Super Bowl, and you were all in on your John Gruden.
I was all in on my John Gruden.
You didn't realize the hate the Cowboys fans have for Barry Switzer. They feel like he drove that franchise into the ground after they were at such a high level, and that support helped carry me to a win in that draft.
Yeah, that just shows that Cowboy fans. They don't have any good perspective, because you can't drive a franchise into the ground in 1 year and then it goes all the way down to whatchamacallit.
Yeah, it's
sorry,
terrible.
I got distracted by a tweet. Another tweet coming in by Mike Burlon. Just got to tune in and glad to hear Chris Scout Team has come around to Barry Bonds tested positive story. Called me out. I guess I was thinking that too after we were talking about it. I was thinking about the two. I was like, maybe we should take Barry Bonds off. We got to clarify that it's not just tested, but had really strong accusations against him as well.
Nope, you said tested positive. We got
You're right, I did.
I've recorded your voice. We're going to go ahead and drop that as a commercial moving forward as Chris America admitting that he was wrong.
Yeah,
oh, man. We appreciate the participation on Twitter.
Yeah, always hit us up on Twitter.
Out there, make sure you check us out on Twitter at Scout Team Radio. Even if you don't get to catch the show live and you're listening to our podcast, which is available on Apple Podcasts or scoutteamradio.com. If you're listening to the podcast, you can still tweet at us. We see these tweets, and even if it's a tweet from later in the day, we could read it tomorrow on air. So make sure you check that out because we like to get social. We like to get interactive with our listeners, and we appreciate all of you out there listening in to Scout Team
definitely.
Sports.
Definitely, yeah. If you're on Barn Burner listening later on in the day as well, just go ahead and tweet at us. Give us a little shout-out, and we'll give you a shout-out back. Oh, Loudbeard, well, we went through an entire 30 minutes talking about UFC and steroids. It's crazy how we get on these topics, and we just roll with it, and time flies by.
It is crazy, but it is time for a commercial break, my friend.
Yeah, on the other side of the break, I'm going to find out who's my daddy. I just got owned by Mike Burlon. Who else is my daddy?
When I'm working hard, I build up a thirst for sports. That's when I grab a cold 12-ounce sports radio. Ah, 12-ounce sports radio. Quench your sports thirst.
Scout Team listeners and friends of the show, I've got something special for you. It looks like 12-ounce sports radio has done it again. We have partnered with Rally House. You just go to the website 12ozsportsradio.com. Click on the banner on the right side of the page, and it will take you directly to Rally House. Rally House has some of the greatest, most unique sports items for that diehard fan, casual fan, and anybody and everybody out there that is special in your life. So go ahead and check it out. Once again, go to that website, 12ozsportsradio.com. Click on the banner to the right of the page, and you will get taken to the best sports merchandise website on all of the interweb.
Ring Central features all-in-one phone, messaging, and video conferencing. It's easy to use with unparalleled security. Ring Central simplifies things so you can grow. Call Ring Central to speak with a representative about a price for your growing business at 877-779-3860. Again, that's 877-779-3860.
Hey everybody, it's your favorite Patriot, Chris America, and I want you to listen every single weekday, Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 7 a.m., and on replays from 11 a.m. to noon of Scout Team Sports. Listen, George Washington did not cross over the ocean blue in 1492 to defeat the Nazis, so you can listen to the same tired national clickbait sports stories. So once again, tune in to us every single morning, 6 a.m. to 7 a.m., and then we replay from 11 to noon. I will see you there, and God bless America.
We want to thank everybody for listening in. We have had a great show so far, but we have a lot of great ground to cover here coming up in the second half of our show. I'm Loudbeard. The man on the other microphone is Chris Americo. You know us as the Scout Team. We're bringing it hot and live like we do each and every AM, Monday through Friday, 6 a.m., and replay on at 11 a.m. on 12-ounce sports radio. You can also check us out through the Barn Burner Network. We get played usually in the afternoon on the Barn Burner Network. We're excited to be a part of that network. And also, you can always check out our podcast on Apple Podcasts or our website, scoutteamradio.com. Again, hit us up on Twitter. We like to get social at Scout Team Radio. We've already been hit up today from Mike Burlon of Craft Brewed Sports. Their show airs every Thursday night on 12-ounce sports radio. And we've been hit up by Memphis Spence from the College Credit Hour. His show airs at noon on 12-ounce sports radio and his radio station, Sports Radio America. Make sure you check out the good friends of our show that are hitting us up on Twitter. Those guys put on great shows. Please check it out. I was a little disappointed. I didn't catch the Craft Brewed Sports show live this week, but I did catch the podcast, which I listened to after the fact. And Mike Berlon, he didn't live up to his nugget challenge. I thought he was going to eat 130 nuggets. Instead, he just ate a giant bowl of queso, which was equally, if not more so, disgusting than all of those chicken nuggets. But you know what? Craft Brewed Sports, College Credit Hour, great shows. Make sure you guys check those out. Well, Chris America, with all that
now
being
I'm thinking
said-
about the backstory behind that, right? There's always a backstory to these decisions. We've been a part of them as a show. So I got to know, is that like one of those like, oh, man, there's this queso is about to expire. Well, let me get rid of it by eating all of it on the show.
Oh no, they do this dartboard of death.
Is that what they do?
Yeah, they some little side bets that they do where they throw it and they come up with the grossest things possible. One guy had to eat a Buddy the Elf thing, so they had to do where the spaghetti with the maple syrup and M&Ms and all that.
That's pretty funny.
Joe the
That's
goalie
why we
had
like.
to eat
That's why
that
we
one
like
of the
this show,
shows.
man. They have our same sense of humor and way of doing a show. And give them a follow, too, at Craft Brewed Sports. I believe that's their Twitter handle. If not, maybe you can look that up and correct me on it. But they also post these really funny videos. They had this new funny video about KBI law and attorneys at law. And it's just this whole video about, being the attorneys for Saints fans and helping them, get a better outcome out of it. And we want to thank KBI Law for helping Scout Team out. We mentioned the word Super Bowl last week, and we got sued by the NFL, but KBI Law came to our defense, and not only did we win the battle, but we also countersued, and we now have a $50 gift card, we have a $5 gift card for every $50 we spend at Applebee's Loudbeard.
Yeah, that's a fantastic deal. Applebee's is top-notch chain restaurant.
Especially with their 2-for-1s.
Oh,
Can't beat it.
unbelievable. Yeah, look at that. And it's at Craft B Sports. So
Craft
make sure you
B
check it
Sports.
out.
There we
Yeah, I
go.
think Craft Brewed Sports was too long for an @ on a Twitter handle. So it's at Craft B Sports. And our good friend Memphis Spence, make sure you check him out also. He is on Twitter at Memphis Spence. So a lot of good interaction.
He's actually a real law background. So if you want real law advice, follow at Memphis Spence.
What do you
And,
mean, real law? What does that mean? KBI is not real law?
Yeah, they are. I didn't mean that.
Okay, good. I just want clarification. I don't want to be
KBI is-
slandering anybody on
Right.
the radio waves here.
KBI is about as real legal advice as Barry Bonds' positive test was real.
Was it now? Okay, Chris America, I'm gonna get into this. Who's your daddy? We're gonna go ahead and get started. Each week we like to throw in some fun segments, and Who's Your Daddy is one of my favorites. So Chris America, I'm gonna give you 2 things to choose from, and you've got to figure out which one is gonna be your daddy of the week. So Anthony Davis has been hot in the news with his trade demands. A lot going on with that story, but the trade deadline is coming up here, and the Pelicans seem not too aggressive about wanting to deal this guy. They want to make sure they find the right trade. So they say unless they find a offer that they cannot refuse, then they're going to hold on to him probably till the end of the year and not make a trade prior to the trade deadline. So they're putting it in the court of the other teams out there saying, make us an offer we can't refuse. Do you think Anthony Davis will be traded, or will he stay with the Pelicans at the trade deadline? So, Chris America, I ask you, trade or stay?
Who's your daddy?
Ooh, I think stay. I think they hold their cards unless they get that King's ransom that we've talked about. I think you got to hold your cards until the offseason and see what else you can get. I know that Boston's been a player out there where they're kind of waiting to see what Kyrie does and how they sign him before they make any big major moves. So maybe you wait for Boston. Maybe you wait for another suitor. But unless Milwaukee or Toronto or the Lakers come to you with like a huge offer that you just can't pass up, and you know that you're not going to get a better offer than that, I say you stay. Hold your cards.
All right, good point there. All right, so next Who's Your Daddy for you, Chris America. The Golden State Warriors, they've won 11 in a row, and they're getting hot right now. They look like they're on top of the world, and they're unbeatable. So if I was going to ask you to make a bet of who was going to win the NBA championship this year, and you had a choice between Golden State or the field, I asked you, Chris America.
Who's your daddy?
Man, this is kind of like Tiger Woods back in the day, where taking Tiger Woods over the field was the safer bet. And right now, especially now, more so than it was a month ago, taking the Warriors has never felt more safe this season than today. So it sucks. I hate to say it, and it sounds like a easy sports take, but you got to go with the Warriors, man.
Yeah, I hate to have to agree with you, Chris America, but I think you're spot on with that assessment. You are 100% right. Oh, man. All right, so moving on to the next Who's Your Daddy. I'm going to do a little Super Bowl themed one here. The Patriots offensive line and how quickly Tom Brady gets the ball out and all of his decision-making has made it where Tom Brady has barely been pass rushed, barely been touched this entire playoff push for the Patriots. But they're going against the best defensive lineman in all of the NFL in Aaron Donald. So I ask you, at the end of this Super Bowl, who's your daddy, Aaron Donald or that Patriots offensive line?
Who's your daddy?
Oh, I think it's going to be Aaron Donald, man. It's going to be tough for them to stop him. And, Aaron Donald kind of gets it two ways. If they double team him and they work really hard to stop him, and then you see Sue and all the other defensive players like Dante Fowler getting to the quarterback or getting to the running backs, I still consider that a win for Aaron Donald because he's owning that line so much that they needed to take away from other defensive players to focus on him. And that's teamwork makes the dream work, man. So I'm going Aaron Donald on this. He's an unstoppable force.
Oh, okay. Good choice there, Chris America. Now, the next one, when you're watching the Super Bowl, there's a lot of choices that you can have while you're sitting there watching. Obviously, a nice cold beer is going to be in your hand, Chris America. But if you were to choose one other food to have sitting in front of you while you're watching the Super Bowl, would it be pizza or wings?
Who's your daddy?
I'm always a wings guy when it comes to football. Pizza's nice, but it fills you up so fast, and then you're kind of bloated. You're kind of overstuffed, and it takes away from the beer. Now it does help soak up the beer, and it allows you to pound more beers. But I like the fact that wings is kind of a snack and a dinner all at the same time. So you can either choose to eat 12 at once in the first quarter, or you can kind of eat as you go. Eating cold wings, eating cold pizza is kind of the same way. But I feel like colder wings isn't as bad. You can always just pop them in the microwave. But I'm going wings when it comes to watching football, man.
All right. So moving on, The Punisher, the series, came out on Netflix recently.
Started watching it.
Did you start watching it? I
Yeah.
just finished it last night.
Okay.
Took me a week. I was trying to in and out, trying to catch episodes here and there, and finally got through it. And good show. Punisher
yeah, solid.
is one of my favorite Marvel characters. But I was thinking, okay, if you were gonna pair up or pin against the Punisher against one of these other Marvel superheroes, who would it be? And I know Punisher doesn't have superpowers, but neither does Hawkeye. So if you took Hawkeye from the Avengers and got him into a fight against the Punisher, Chris America, I ask you.
Who's your daddy?
Hawkeye versus Punisher? I got to go Punisher all the time. Hawkeye is just, I don't know, man. He's one of the lamest superheroes Marvel has. He's one of those duds. Like, he's cool, and his skill set is fun, and I'm sure he's got his things with the arrows and everything else like that, but it depends. If Hawkeye can get the jump on him and hit him right in the chest with an arrow, I guess you take Hawkeye, but if this is a one-on-one fight, Hawkeye does not stand a chance against the Punisher.
Okay, yeah, I agree, especially after watching that show. He's badass. Just saying.
I mean, I would honestly, I think the most entertaining fight would be the Punisher versus Logan, just because they're one of the most stubborn fighters. But Logan has the advantage of the fact that he can heal and take just a brutal punishment where like you said, Punisher, he's still human and he has a limit and it can be reached. And I think Logan, but I think just the sheer willpower that the Punisher has, he would take a big beating from Logan. He would make Logan need to take a few days to heal up as well.
Yeah. So I have an impromptu Who's Your Daddy that just came in on Twitter. Flats versus drums if you're going wings, Chris America.
Who's your daddy?
Flats all day, every day, and it's not even close.
All right, Memphis Spence, I'm with you. Drums are better than flats. Wing discrimination right here. Hashtag it at Scout Team Radio. Thank you for tweeting in because I'm a drum guy. I don't know why. I don't mind flats, but sometimes when I go, I just say, just do all drums. I don't know why. I'm a drum guy.
There you go.
All right, last question for you, and we will finish up our Who's Your Daddy segment. So, Chris America, if you were building a super team and you were able to pick one quarterback to be the quarterback of your super team, and we're gonna do time travel, and you could select in the 6th round Mr. Tom Brady in his prime to carry your team, or you can pick a Mr. Patrick Mahomes. Time is irrelevant. Who would you rather have build your team around, Mahomes or Brady?
Who's your daddy?
I knew you were going to do this to me, and it's hard to not pick Tom Brady because Tom Brady has the hardware, Tom Brady has the wins, but in my heart of hearts, in my future's eye, I see Patrick Mahomes getting close to or overcoming Tom Brady's records of playoff wins and championships and everything else, and he does it in a more fun way. So, man, I'm a big Tom Brady guy. I'm not like a fanboy Patriots fan, but I respect what he's done. I respect all the things that he is as a man and a player by taking less money, always working hard. He is that typical first in, last out type of guy, always grinding and working hard to get to where he's at today. I like all that stuff about him, but I think I'm going to stick with my boy Patrick Mahomes. I'm going to roll the dice and gamble on my man Patrick Mahomes.
All right. I knew I had to throw you a little curveball in there.
No, it was a good one. It was a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one. And with the Punisher, I was trying to find somebody that was like equal to him, and I thought about Wolverine. I did. I really did. And you got to that point where I was like, Hawkeye? So
yeah, that's
as good as it got.
Tough to find other guys that aren't heroes who have power, or sorry, who don't have powers but are heroes.
Yeah,
I'm trying to think of it too, but it's tough in the Marvel world.
Yeah, it
now,
is.
Okay, what about this one? Punisher versus Batman.
Who's your daddy?
Who you got, Loudbeard?
I got to go Batman. Batman's
Really?
such a classic. Yeah, going Batman.
It would be an interesting fight. I'm going Punisher still, man.
Okay. All right. Maybe one of these days we'll see a movie about it. DC and Marvel and Disney will buy DC and then actually make good movies about Batman.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think
Okay.
so. I think it needs to happen, or at least a video game will make it up.
Oh man, it's not a bad idea.
Marvel versus DC.
Yeah. So we're gonna move on. I wanted to talk quickly about NBA. We were running out of time here. It's funny how quick it goes. We had a great Who's Your Daddy segment. But I want to talk a little bit more about Anthony Davis because some more news came out about him. He says that if any other teams acquire him other than LA, he is going to be a rental player. So he's really focused on going to the Lakers. So, Chris America, do you think that this is all in for the Lakers, or do you think some of these other teams might pull what Oklahoma City did with Paul George and give this guy a chance as a rental to try to convince him to stay? And on a side note, you had mentioned to me that you're starting to hear some talks about Toronto and Milwaukee heating up about Anthony Davis. Everybody's all in on AD.
Yeah, and I'm trying to look up his contract now because if he's a cheap rental, I'll take it. So $28 million is what he'll get paid. So he's got 2 years on his contract, it shows. He still has the 2019-2020 season and the 2020-2021 season. I thought he was an unrestricted free agent after next year, but according to Sports Track, he still has 2 years left on his contract. So maybe I need to look more into this other than what I just did, but if he's a rental player, I'll take 2 years of rental for AD.
Yeah, I felt like it was just the end of this year and then next year. That's weird that it says that. I don't know if maybe he's got an option.
I think it's a player option. Yeah, I think this looks like a player option.
Player option. Okay, that makes sense.
So if you could have AD for if you make the trade before the deadline, it becomes even better because you have him for the rest of this season and next season. Now you also take the risk of him pulling a Jimmy Butler, where it's like he gets up, for a couple of games and says, that old back, it's a little sore today. I think I'm going to take the day off. Ooh, yeah, knees are looking a little rough. I think I'm going to have to take the next 10 days off, guys. I'll see you guys when you get back from that Western road trip. He can pull one of those, and that's a risk you're taking.
Well, and he has an injury history. This guy, he's not clean bill of health by any means. He's always out missing time. I think because of his physical play, because of the size, size. Sometimes he just gets these ankle injuries. Right now, he's out with like a finger injury. He's been missed the last 5 games, so it's easily that could happen. Oh, the lower back. It's hard to diagnose, but it's sore. I'm gonna have to sit out.
Normally I'm on the player's side. You know me. I'm usually pro player. Let them do what they want. But in this case, the more I hear about it, maybe it is because it's the Lakers, and I just hate the Lakers. I'll give full disclosure on that. But man, you're getting paid $25 million this year, $27 million next year. Look, the teams are paying you. I get it. You want to be in LA. You want to be doing that thing. But you signed a contract with the Pelicans in 2016, 2017, and it was a damn good contract. I mean, your average salary for this contract is $25 million a year for 5 years. I mean, 5 years, $127 million. If you didn't want to be in New Orleans, you shouldn't have signed that contract 2 years ago or 3 years ago. Just take your money, wait out your time, man. We've all been there. We've all been in that job that we don't like, but it pays well. And, after next season, you can be in LA. So if you're making these kind of demands, then just play out your time in New Orleans. Give the New Orleans fans a good last year run with Anthony Davis. Play your hardest and, collect your checks and then go to sign with LA in a year and a half.
See, I disagree because him creating this demand has actually helped the Pelicans because they'll get something in return for him.
Maybe. I mean, at the same time, it doesn't. Don't you think it kind of does scare away teams like Toronto and like Milwaukee who are like, ooh, we want to. We're not in this just to win this year. We're hoping to keep, Kawhi Leonard for years to come, and we're hoping to keep, Giannis for years to come. And if we're taking rental players that just kind of come and go, I think those two guys want to know that there's a solid team built around them for years to come as well, or else they're leaving as well from their teams.
Yeah, well, LA's got a lot to offer in a trade, and if they're the ones that are going to commit to him and he's going to commit to LA, just go for it and get some assets in return. Just cut him loose. I know he's a big superstar, but sometimes you just got to get what you can get, and if you trade him now, you get more value than a 1-year rental. A year and a half rental is a much bigger deal because it actually makes a team relevant now. So by the trade deadline, take that best offer and move on, and the Pelicans can get some assets in return. Now, Chris America, we got 3 minutes left. I teased that I'd talk a little bit about college basketball, I thought, ahead of time. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't, but I just wanted to mention that number 1, Tennessee, we need to play your Rocky Mountain Top song that you love.
Please
Number 1, Tennessee handles business for their 15th straight win last night in college basketball. They go beat South Carolina 92-70. A good game last night. I caught some of this, but number 3, Virginia, was playing number 23, NC State. It goes into overtime. Virginia survives in overtime, 66-65. Number 11, Kansas falls last night to Texas, 73-63. That was a pretty big upset. And lastly, big rivalry game here for you, Chris America. Your number 5, Michigan Wolverines. They handle their business against those Buckeyes, 65-49. So lots of hot college basketball action last night. March Madness is right around the corner. We are 1 day away, or 2 days away, really, from February. March Madness will be here in no time. These months fly by. Are you starting to get pumped for this big tournament?
I am, and I'm excited for it. There's lots of arguing going on Twitter and on different radio shows as to who's number 1, and Tennessee's the real deal. And you know me, ever since the beginning of January, once college football season ended, I watched some college basketball, and who did I say was the number 1 team in the nation?
You are Michigan, 100%.
100%. I'm still looking at it, and I'm like, what is Gonzaga, Virginia, Duke, and Tennessee doing above Michigan? Michigan has won. It was 30-1 at one point. Now it's got to be like 38-2 over their last 40 games. What else has Michigan got to do to prove to everybody that they're the real deal? They've been to the Final Four more than any of these other teams have, except for maybe Duke. I'd have to go back and look. But Michigan's played in 2 championship games in the last 5 or 6 years, and I look for them to make another strong run. Beeline's got those Michigan Wolverines rolling.
Yeah, they're quality squad over there in Michigan, and it's been long-term success. It's not like the Fab Five where it was like that one group and then they fell apart. This looks like they're churning out a lot of quality players, and they're doing it right. They're doing it the right way, and you're right. They're not getting the credit they deserve. Michigan will be a tough team come bracket time.
Yeah, look for Tennessee. Tennessee to me is a pretender. Look for Tennessee to fall apart. Maybe that's my Gator hate coming, but if you look at Tennessee in
100%
Final
Gator hate right there.
Yeah, if you look at Final Four and you try to look for the name Tennessee, you're not going to find it. It's not going to be there.
Okay. That's a good info. Well, Chris America, it's about that time.
Yeah, my dog just farted and it stinks in here, so I'm ready to go.
Great show, my friend.
Yeah, it smells like Tennessee.
Does it smell like Tennessee?
Yeah.
That's the worst thing I've ever heard in my life.
Gross. Tennessee equals dog fart.
All right, have a great day, everybody. We'll see you again tomorrow at 6 a.m. on 12 Ounce Sports Radio.